Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to EastWestRving. Today we got a upgrade DIY project, so stay tuned and we'll get it done. Alright, so today we're going to do wet bolt and shackle upgrade kit. The shackles are twice as thick as the factory, which will definitely help the suspension. We also have the wet bolt kit, which is a greasable bolt, which will definitely last a lot longer than the factory ones. It also comes with the bronze bushings. The factory bushings are nylon. They're not made for years and years of service or a lot of miles. They crush, they break down, and then you end up with issues. So we're going to upgrade those with bronze. So that'll definitely help. So what I have is, as you can see, I got some bottle jacks set up. They're 12-ton. I got the one in front of the front axle and one behind the rear axle, set up with 4x4 cribbing. So I use those to take most of the pressure off the side of the trailer. And I have two floor jacks underneath each axle. I'll use that to take the pressure off the bolts. And while we're here, we're also going to rotate the tires. So just a FYI, when you rotate the tires, if you use a TPMS, you're going to need to swap the sensors, front to rear, rear to front, whatever. Just because they're programmed that for those positions, and if you don't swap them out, you're not gonna. It's gonna be a little confusing when you read your monitor. So let's get started. Take this thing apart, see what happens. Yeah, so we got a small breaker bar. We're using a 11/16 socket. Now when you take these things off, you don't want to use the ratchet or breaker bar on the bolt side or the head, because it has like ribs on it and it just won't spin. So whenever you take these apart, take them off with break them loose on the nut side, just like that. And we'll get these up here in the rear, in the middle. So when I reinstall these, I'm going to use a thread locker. I use blue, not red. Red is more permanent. I mean, you can take the red, remove it with the red on there, but you're going to need a little heat. The blue, it's a little more forgiving, and you can use just some muscle. Oh boy. So I definitely use the blue. And of course, if you use a thread locker, you don't have to worry about getting in there and checking these things every once in a while. Make sure they haven't come loose on you. That would be a bad thing. All right, so I got those nuts off. Now I'm going to have to manipulate the floor jack just to take some of the pressure off of these bolts so I can pop them out. I recommend, to get the old ones out, I got a 2.5 pound sledgehammer, which is kind of handy. Definitely a rubber mallet. A couple breaker bars. All right, let's see what we can do with this thing. This is going to take a little finagling. All right, we got these shackles loose here, ish. This should come out pretty easy. Let's see, we got a little 2-pound hammer here. There's the old one. Let's throw that over here in the corner somewhere, out of the way. Get these bolts out of the way. All right, so these bushings. Bushings are going to take a little bit of work to get out. Probably knock them out with a screwdriver, which I don't have. All right, so we'll use a bladed screwdriver. Just kind of pop these out. Might take a little bit of work. All right, these bushings are going to take a little bit of work. Just got to get in there with a bladed screwdriver. Just kind of catch the edge and fold it over, and just twist it. Let's see if we can pop this right out. There it is. Once we get these out, we'll just clean up that hole. Yeah, this is what they look like. This is a piece of plastic. You see, they don't last very long. And we get the bronze ones here, which are a whole lot better. So, definitely want the bronze. All right, so get in there and clean that out with a rag. Make sure there's no burrs. And then we'll use the rubber mallet to tap these in, because you don't want to mushroom these ends. That's pretty important. All right. Just get a rag in there, get this cleaned out. Yeah, it's going to be a tight fit, which is a good thing. Go down a little better. Let's get into it with a rag and a screwdriver. All right, we're going to take a little bit of axle grease and put it on here, just a little bit. You don't need a lot, just enough to help it. All right, I use this is what I use, Valvoline. It's a multi-vehicle high temp red grease. I use that in all my bearings. It just seems to work pretty good. So I'll just take a little bit, just coat it on there like that. All right, let's work on this other bushing here on the stabilizer part. Try and hammer out this nylon bushing. Now when you put these wet bolts in, I don't know if you can see this, if you look on the bolt, there's a hole on one side. That's for the grease. So when you put your grease fitting on the Zerk fitting here, it squirts grease through this hole, goes into the bushing. Manufacturer recommends that this hole is either at the 9 o'clock or you spin around to the 3 o'clock position. I guess that's important. I'm not sure why. I'm not an engineer. But either 3 o'clock, or 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock, depending how you do it. Then when you put these, you get this Zerk fitting. Now, depending on your suspension and where your tires are, you either have them facing out, so you don't have to take your tires off, or your tires won't be in the way of the fitting, or you're going to have to spin it around, have this facing the inside of the trailer or toward the middle, which means you're going to have to get underneath your trailer behind your tires, put your fittings on to grease it. Luckily for me, the way my suspension's set up, I can put them facing out because there's plenty of space between this fitting and the tire. So I got lucky with that. All right, let's get this bushing out of here. These things are a bear to get out. Well, it's a 2014, so these things have been here for a long time. Fortunately, they don't have a lot of mileage on them because this trailer was sat in a park from day one for quite a few years. From what I understand, we're only the third owner. The second owner was the dealer. So we put on about, I don't know, 10, 15,000 miles, which isn't too bad, but I'm still going to replace these things because I just don't trust them. They're cheap, they're nylon. The last thing I want to do is deal with a breakdown on the highway, especially a suspension issue. We already had that once. We lost the bearing. It's not fun. So I always keep some spare parts on me, mostly bearings and stuff like that, small stuff. I don't carry leaf springs on me, which I might do if we decided to take a trip to Alaska. Definitely carry a couple extra leaf springs just in case. I heard some nightmares about the roads up there. This one's stubborn. Yeah, this thing's gonna come out in pieces, it looks like. So the shackle side of this project and the bolt for the stabilizer is pretty easy. The hard part is going to be trying to figure out the sweet spot for that leaf spring, so I can get the bolt out. That's going to be a challenge. We'll get it. Just got to figure out the easiest way to do it. Yeah, there's always one that's going to give you a hard time. That's the way it goes. So if these bushings need a little bit of persuasion, you can use a C-clamp and just kind of squeeze it in there, just like that. Easy peasy. Just make sure everything's cleaned. Put a little bit of grease on the bushing just to help it a little bit. It's pretty tight fit, so the grease probably won't do much, but as long as you line the bushing in straight to start with, you don't want to put it in crooked, and just C-clamp it and good to go. So what I did is I took the stabilizer out. This thing here, it's just a lot easier to take the old nylon bushings out and put the bronze ones back in. It's a lot easier doing that than trying to wrestle with it while it's hanging. So we'll take one more bushing out on the rear axle, the front of the rear axle, and put this thing back together. And then the hard part, trying to get those bolts out of the front leaf spring. That's going to take some finagling. Hey, we got the wet bolts in the shackle, and we're going to tuck them down to 80 foot-pounds. So we'll get that done next. Of course, we're going to do it on the nut side, not the bolt side. Yeah, that's going to take a little work. There's one. Two. Come on, one click. That's all you need. There it is. Don't want to bend anything. There's one click. There we go. 80 foot-pounds. Alright, so we got the thread locker on. 80 foot-pounds. Now we got to do the front bolts. That's going to be a pain. Not sure how that's going to work yet. Yeah, it's just going to have to finagle the bottle jacks and finagle the floor jack until we get the pressure off of that bolt. All right, a little bit of finagling with the bottle jack and the floor jack. We managed to get this enough pressure off that bolt to get this thing down. Yeah, it's a little bit of work, but just take your time and figure it out. I'll just pop out this. It's just coming out pretty easy. What do we need? Yeah. Screwdriver. Push this through. There we go. There's the old bushing. That's pretty. See, that thing's pretty toast. That's what happens to them. They get all worn out. They get crushed, and they're no good. That's why we replace them. Let's get in with a rag, clean this out. Yeah, grab a flashlight, take a peek inside. Make sure there's nothing goofy going on in there. Alright, that looks okay. Alright, a little bit of grease on the bushing. Just a little tiny bit. Don't need much. Probably doesn't do anything, but it can't hurt, right? it slides in a little too easy. I'm not really comfortable with that. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Maybe the springs are worn out. Oops. We'll see. All right, let's lift this axle up. Get this bolt in place. Remember when you put these in, the hole in the bolt for the grease fitting, either 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I like to be consistent, so I just put them all at 9 o'clock. Call it a day. All right, let's lift this thing up. Get this lined up, hopefully. Just like that. Yeah, maybe a little too much. Back it off a little bit. Okay. There we go. We'll just put the thread locker on, the blue thread locker. Put the nut on, 80 foot-pounds, and that is that. Not too bad. Just takes a little bit of time. All right, that is our wet bolt heavy-duty shackle kit install. We bought it from MoRryde. Well, it's made by MoRryde. We bought it on Amazon. You can go to MoRryde. It's the same price. For my particular brand, it was $114 shipped. So it's not too bad. Just take some time. That's it. There's no rush to get it done. Do it right. You're good to go. Things should last you for years and years and years. So if we see us on the road, say hi. We love talking to you guys. We appreciate all you. And hopefully this video helped you out. Take care. See you next time. Happy camping.